Indeed.
All right. Peace and blessings, family. Thank you for joining us today. You can go ahead and stop that share. Once again, It is Chosen Fridays. We're here to have an important discussion on hip hop and fathers in hip hop. We got some special guests with us. We're going to have some more people joining us through the night. We're going to go ahead and get this started. For those that don't know, I'm Brother PRiZM of ChosenZulu.com. That's PRiZM, like the crystal, not like the jail. And of course, that's a metaphor for shedding the light in all its different colors, so that way we can understand it, whether you're red, black, white, green, Christian, Muslim, atheist, Jamaican. We share what we call universal truths, and that's what we're going to try to do here today with the topic of fathers in hip hop. With us today, we have a few special guests, but the first one I'd like to mention is somebody that we've been hearing about for a while that actually runs an organization called Fathers in Hip Hop. So if we can, Mr. Justified, tell us a little bit about you and your work. I'd love to hear more about it and share that with the people.
Excuse me, you got to give me, I've been a little hoarse. But yeah, my name's Justified, Fathers in Hip Hop. Shout out to Malik for introducing and inviting me to the platform with you guys. And really, Fathers in Hip Hop agenda is to, promote fatherhood engagement through hip hop culture. In the forms of songs and events, and just a platform to give fathers a voice that we've kind of lost in this society with women's movements and, the agenda that we all know is against us. So, we just want to honor and salute fathers and put together positive situations that give fathers an opportunity to engage with their children.
Excellent. That is great. That is powerful. It's something that a lot of us, including Sir Malik, have talked about for years, an organization that teaches the fathers, guides them. So I'm so honored and glad to hear that you did start it. We're honored to support that, and we're going to try to help you spread the word as far as possible. Thank you for doing
That's
this.
a blessing.
All right. And as mentioned, I'm the guy who kind of brought us together, Sir Malik I, founding member of the Temple of Hip Hop, one of the main orchestrators behind the Declaration of Peace and it being brought to the United Nations, and the author of the book Peace in Time of War, which is, the link is available at ChosenZulu.com on the affiliates page. Definitely get that. It's a guidebook for hip hop citizenry. Sir Malik I, thank you for joining us. Tell us what's going on. Oh, your mic is off.
Unmute thyself.
What? Peace and much love.
Go.
So here we go again, another Friday, another good Friday in my estimation. But we have Justified here, as you guys just heard about his mission. And we've been kind of working together and building, and this is an opportunity for us to do exactly what I write about. Okay, and this is very critical. It's about us networking and developing alliances, meaning that we invest in one another's operations, works, promotions, efforts, so that when they see that return, it is reciprocated to all the other organizations that we see internationally that we've been speaking with. But today is special again, because as fathers, it's a critical role for us everywhere. It's a critical role for us everywhere. And many of us go through so much adversity that we often feel alone and feel left and feel, just not able to really reach and find our purpose. And so Justified is a brother like many of us from California, but also carries the spirit that we talk about, the common spirit. So I just want to pose a quick question before we go any further. Justified, what would you say about your spirit? How have you been able to keep your spirit going through the ups and downs and the challenges that you've been facing and you have faced in the past? What could you share with the group about that?
I mean, for me, faith in God is everything, because you get to a point in your life where you realize that you can't do it on your own and that you have to tap into something, that's greater than yourself to be able to, carry you through. When my wife passed away in 2014 and I had my daughters, they were 6 and 8. I knew that I, Scott, Justified, wasn't equipped to handle this task, but I knew that God was, and I knew that if all I did was lean on him and allow him to move in my behalf, that we'd be all right. And it's been 7 years on this single fatherhood journey, and some might say that I've done very well, but I understand that it's not me, but it's by the grace of God that I'm able to, take care of these children and still, move around in this industry the way that I do. But I had to make my purpose in the game about what it is that I felt God had led me to. You think of loss. My mother died in May of 2013 and my wife died in April of 2014. So 11 months, you could pretty much say I lost everything that, really had substance in my life. And to be able to make it without that, I know it's, nothing but, having faith. And I know we, some tap into that source and we call it by different names, but I believe it's, the power of love. And when you love, you make the right decisions. When you make your decisions based in love, and it was the love for my children that allowed me to make the right decisions and trust that God had me,
Well said. Very, very well said. PRiZM, chime in, brother.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing and, for being so open and honest. That's definitely important here. And it's like we try to tell some of our brothers, sometimes your greatest passion is your mission in life, and sometimes your greatest adversity reveals your mission in life. And we try to pay attention to those things. And sometimes it's the hardships that we overcome that enable us to teach others how to overcome it and give us the experience and wisdom that we need to help them guide them through the terrain that we've already been through. So again, condolences and blessings for what you've been through, and honored that you turned it around and turned it into something positive that we can share with other people today. Thank you.
If I can add to what you just said,
Sure.
There would be no Fathers in Hip Hop if I had not went through what God took me through. You feel me? And as I listened to older records, from myself, before I was Fathers in Hip Hop, while my wife was living, we had the Mafia, Men of Faith in Action. So I always had this movement that evolved around men, coming together, joining their faith and putting it in action and, doing things to better our communities. And it's like God had already put me on this path. And it wasn't until, losing, my wife, that I identified that man of faith in action as the father. And it was through this challenge of single fatherhood that I really was able to identify the real true meaning of a father's position, because I have regrets. I wish I would have understood my role while she was living, if that makes sense. I go get my money, I bring it to the house, she organized the bills, she, catered to the girls, she ran the household, I just provided for the household. And my level of engagement wasn't as involved as it is now. And it's like, damn, what if I would have been, I can't say what if I did, she'd still be here, but maybe I would have avoided some of the conflicts that her and I had if I would have really understood that being a father was more than just putting money on the table, but actually being more involved. And I'm not saying I wasn't involved, but I wish I had been more involved with things like cooking dinner, washing clothes, helping with the house cleaning, to where I'm like, you don't, excuse my language, guys, but I'm real. You don't do shit but watch Maury. And while I'm out here in these streets grinding and we have these type of arguments, but in her absence, oh my God, I realized all that she did do. And she did need,
And you know what? And let me say though, you doing it now, you picking up the mantle when you did, is fulfilling her. And her spirit, just like your mother's spirit, is within you. And that is why you are able to do it with such skill and such care. You know, I've been to your home. I've met your daughters. I've been around you in your operation and have been able to see firsthand the work and the seeds that they planted. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a real powerful lesson for us to think about, because many of us have a lot of experiences that we look back on and wish we had performed differently or performed better, but we have now. We have now. And as a father of 5 and a grandfather, today happens to be my grandson's 9th birthday. And so we've been kind of chopping it up all week long. And, you know, again, it's opportunities that life and, you know, the God of our understanding provides us with to be able to be better, to self-improve. And by being an example of that self-improvement, one thing I'd like to also bring up, this pandemic. We were talking about it on our executive call just yesterday, and one of our resident scholars, Brother Malik, another Malik here, who I'm sure will chime in, but we were talking about how hard so many people have been hit and how so much loss has taken place. And so what it makes me conjure now, I want to justify, why don't you chime in a little bit and tell everybody about Blessed in the Mess, please.
Okay, Blessed in the Mess is something that, you know, God, you know, I put on my heart and on my mind, looking at fathers that, you know, may have been out of work, you know, directly to, you know, COVID shutting things down. And while we know we didn't have a lot, we wanted to do something just to, you know, give a small feeling of hope and like, hey, somebody does care. So we started out with the Blessed in the Mess Cash App giveaway via my platform on Instagram. And what I would do, I was bring somebody of influence, particularly hip hop artists, and we would have dialogue about fatherhood and our responsibilities and just different topics. And we would tell our viewers to, you know, drop their Cash App in the comments, and that we would pick, you know, 4 people out of there, you know, to bless with Cash Apps. And when we first started, it was just, you know, $25, you know, to 4 different people. So I made a commitment to do $100 a day, and we broke it down by 4. So, you know, 4 different men. And while I felt that it was a very minimal thing, I got messages from people that got selected that was like, bro, I'm on the way to the supermarket right now to get some lunch meat and some this and some that, because my refrigerator, like, you know, they were really grateful for that $25. And so I got 5 on it challenge, was where I reached out to my following. I said, hey, who got 5 on it? So we started getting these $5 Cash Apps. And I wanted to feel the people that were getting these blessings instead of just being over Cash App. I wanted to be in person. So we started doing the Walmart gift cards, and we would go to Walmart and we would buy the gift cards. And we started off, you know, with $25 gift cards. And this is something that I did on my own by myself. And I go out, and then God said, you could do it bigger when you bring a team in. So we started gathering, you know, more Cash App donations, and God saw fit in September of 2020, we raised $2,000. So we went to the Walmart and we bought, you know, $2,000 worth of $100 gift cards. I'm lying. I'm sorry. We did $1,000 and $100 cards and another $1,050 cards. So if it was like 1 kid, 2 kids, we gave them the 50. If it was a father that had 3 or 4, we gave them 100. And that went from September, we raised 2,000 to October, we raised 3,000 to November. We were able to do like 2,700 or something like that. And, you know, we just kept the Walmart thing going. Then after a few run-ins with, you know, Walmart management that didn't, I don't know why, but they didn't want to allow us, you know, to purchase these many cards, and they gave us a hard time about it. It was in that moment that God shifted my heart to the fathers in business. So for Christmas, what we did, instead of giving Walmart our $2,000 that we were able to raise, we took it to a Black-owned toy store in the community, and we raised $2,700, and we spent $2,700 in his store and bought all the toys from him, and then we did a toy giveaway. And that way, the children were blessed with the free toys, but this father, you know, who the story behind his story is Toys of Eden. Eden is his 8-year-old daughter, and he named the store after her. The business is in her name, you know, her name is on the paper. It's her store, and he's teaching her entrepreneurship. And I've always thought that was real cool. So, you know, we were able to put $2,700 in their register and, you know, give away the toys to the kids in the area. So it was like a double win. And so 2020 has continued to where we're looking to bless fathers in business. We want to take what I can raise through our network and bless fathers that own businesses and bring a blessing to their register, and then take whatever services or products that they're selling and then give them away to the community. So 2021 has been blessed in the mess, fathers in business. And we've been looking, you know, for fathers that came through COVID, either surviving in a business or birthing a new one during it. So, you know, I found that in a lot of people say, when I make it, I'm going to give back. But God has showed me that you got to give first. So as I support my community, I have faith that my community will support me in my endeavors. And they see where the heart is at, and they know that we're about giving. We're always, you know, trying to bless others. But I do understand that in blessing others, you know, I'm storing up my own blessings as well. So call me selfish. I like to be blessed. So once I figured out the recipe, I'm like, shit, I'm a giver. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm making light of it, but that's real. When you allow God's heart to move through you, amazing things can happen. And, you know, like I said, $2,000 and $3,000 is really not a whole lot. But when you think of different individuals coming together, $5, $10 at a time, that shows the power of group economics. And that's another thing that I've been big on, is to get these fathers and these men to work together to accomplish more. And let's complete instead of compete. I don't want to compete with nobody. I want to be able to complete, you know, something that they need from me to help their mission go further. So, you know, fathers in business and complete instead of compete. And we can do a lot with those little things right there. I fall short of words sometimes, y'all forgive me.
No, you said it all. You said it well, brother. I appreciate that. And I agree 100%. You know, one of the things that we've always fostered here at Chosen is we don't have any competition. We have other people that we cooperate with, you know, so if you're doing something in a similar field, let's get together and reach the same target market together and tell them what we're doing. There ain't no competition. And with that, we're honored to be able to support groups like yours and spread the word. We do have a few other special knowledge, wise individuals in here. So just to make some quick rounds real quick, we'll go first to the sisters. Sister Melody, great community worker, community activist. She's one of the sisters that was probably the pioneer, the founder of the King Stop Killing Kings movement that happened when it was that whole gang violence going on in the tri-state area. She led that movement, and she's here with us today. She's doing political work now, working with potential mayors and councilmen and assemblymen, setting her up in the Bronx community. And I can go on and on, but I'll let her speak for herself. Sister Melody, if you got a moment, please take the time to share with us.
Peace, brother. Thank you so much. I would like to say to Mr. Smith, you know, I commend you on your work and for you being a great dad. You know, I was a daddy's girl, and it means a lot to me when I see a man stand up and take care of his business in the home, you know? So, you know, you're going to get your blessings in many ways. And I'm here if you need in any way. I'm not sure where you're located at because I came in a little late. But as, you know, he was saying, my organization, you know, I work with young kids in the community that are gang related. I work with mothers that lose their kids to gun, gang, and street violence as well. It's important to me to create a form of unity in our communities because I feel like the narrative is shifting and there's a lot of diversity, including with NYPD. I feel like there needs to be a neutral person that speaks on it, that says it's time to bring some form of unity, because we have to keep it 100% and keep it real and say that, NYPD is not going to be abolished right now. So we need to work with them in order for our communities to feel safe and for our communities to decrease in crime, because the crime rates is really high right now. With that being said, I do have an event next Saturday, the 19th. It's going to be in the Bronx, across the street from the courthouse in Joyce Kilmer Park. It's going to be from noon to 5 p.m. All are welcomed. We're going to have food. We're going to have music. We're going to have all games. We're going to have a couple of politicians coming in as well, along with the DA and the Chief of Community Affairs of New York will be there as well. So, we're looking forward to just engaging with different groups. I like to call myself like a liaison. The purpose of my organization is to be a safe haven for mothers, but I am also a resource for anybody that has an organization. I'm not in it for the money. I work and I make good money and I'm pretty comfortable right now. So what I do get, I do like to disperse with different companies. That's what I'm here for, to help anybody in any way that they need help. That's what I'm here for. So if you guys need me, you can definitely shoot me an email or hit me up on any social media and I'll respond and, be the best asset I can be to you guys.
Absolutely. And tell us the name of the organization that you're running with the mothers that lost their children to gun
Yes,
violence.
it's called No Voice Unheard.
And where can they follow you at?
No Voice Unheard is on Instagram, is also on Facebook.
All right. It's a powerful movement. Thank you for sharing, sister. As always, I appreciate your time and your wisdom. And anybody that's in the tri-state and New York area, feel free to connect with her and join with her. I mean, with you anywhere. But if you're in the tri-state area, you can attend the events and promote your organization and groups with her. She's always open and welcoming. No Voices Unheard is a very important organization to help bring awareness to the gun violence and how it affects the families and, the mothers, but the families in general. So we hear all these stories about, our young men getting killed in the streets and it sort of ends there. But for the families, it doesn't. It's a lifelong grievance and a process, and they have to get accustomed to a life without this child in their life anymore and all the things he could have been. So it's powerful not only to support that, but to listen, to hear firsthand and spread that. So maybe other young men will realize what they're doing to families. And this is part of what we're talking about here today. So thank you, as always. I appreciate that. Another special guest that we have is another single father who's been doing the work and raising a family and, providing for them and educating himself and educating others. He was a professor in schools. He taught students. He's a sociologist with a PhD. And he is now helping with financial planning, which is something we're going to get into later into this call. My brother Malik Matthew, also known as King Omen, down with Chosen since 1998, and it feels like longer, but he's one of those young brothers that we knew from the get when he spoke. Him and his brother, they were geniuses. They were brilliant. They had the kind of minds that saw things in ways that most of us didn't get yet. And he's on the call with us today, brother Malik Matthew. Again, the topic is fathers in hip hop. We heard from a few people. Share your thoughts, your wisdom.
Peace. Right. First things first, what I've heard thus far has been very uplifting and inspirational. All praises due to the creator and also to the efforts of the individuals. Justified, you are a hero. Melody, you're a hero. I'm honored to even make your acquaintance based on the brilliant things that you're doing to help move society forward. So as the brother PRiZM said, I'm Dr. Malik Matthew, also known within Zulu circles as Zulu King Omen of Chosen Zulu. PRiZM and I have known each other for,
20 plus, brother.
Man, I was a little knuckleheaded teenager, and now I'm 40 years old, raising a knuckleheaded teenager, and others. So basically, my background is I grew up in the South Bronx, came up through the same fires that a number of the other members of the Chosen Chapter did. I was homeless for a period of time, late in my teenage years, and eventually made it through that situation with the help of others. And into college, earned a bachelor's degree, went to graduate school at The Ohio State University. That's the right way to pronounce my alma mater. Earned a master's degree in sociology, earned a PhD in sociology. So my academic background is in sociology and political science. I moved on to becoming a professor at the University of Cincinnati, and I was there for almost a decade, really trying to educate young people in the classroom, as well as conducting research to educate more broadly about racial inequality, social class inequality, gender inequality, the different forms that it takes, but also the common threads that unite the different ladders of inequality. And so recently I transitioned to becoming a financial advisor. The common thread there is I spent a lot of time in the classroom teaching about social class and social mobility. Having grown up poor and now putting myself in a better position, I really thought that it was critical that other people learn how to do this. The pandemic was a real motivating factor in my career change because I saw the immediate desperation in a lot of families as soon as things shut down. I saw the GoFundMe campaigns all around my social media. And I had the conscious thought first that, at that time, my kids were being homeschooled because all school was shut down. My ex-wife's younger children were no longer in daycare because daycare had been shut down. And I was home taking care of all these kids. And I thought, two conscious thoughts. One, I have to stay healthy because I'm the one holding all this stuff together. So I can't go out there and be right. Second thought was so that, God forbid, my family would be okay. Financially, they would miss me certainly in terms of my presence, but they would be okay financially because we had built that type of financial security that enabled us to get through some of these storms. And so basically my personal mission as a financial advisor is to help others get through that. I'm also a co-founding member of People's Safety Reimagined, which is a political action committee here in Cincinnati that's aimed to restructure policing and public safety in the city of Cincinnati. We recently started reconfiguring our thinking in terms of what we were doing. We put a petition on the ballot last year to try to restructure policing into a public safety department where police would handle certain things, unarmed police would handle other things, and people who were well-trained mental health specialists or social workers would handle still other things. There was a huge political backlash against it, mostly steered by the Republican Party. And so our latest move is we are trying to, instead of trying to push a ballot initiative directly, we are trying to put together a slate or endorse a slate of people who are running for city council and put pooled resources behind them to try to get elected officials to push the agenda that we're looking for. So that's primarily what I've been up to out here. I'm glad to be part of this group, to build with the group, and hopefully we'll have an excellent exchange. I look forward to learning a lot and also to contributing as much as possible. I will be occasionally dimming my screen. That's because my kids are home, and it's me and them against the world. And I have to make sure today that as much as I'm here trying to build, I have to make sure their stomachs are well fed and all that. So as they need me, I may dip in and out, but I'm here full time and looking forward to this build. Peace.
That's peace, brother. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. And again, this is the topic. These brothers are examples of brothers who came up in the hip hop culture and worked their way into positions to be the best kind of fathers that they could be. In many cases, the kind of fathers that they never had. So thank you for sharing and for being open with us. And I do want to get to a few people in here, but then we're going to get to the topic. Real quick, we have another author in the room, another hip hop activist for 30 years plus now. Also a father that's spending probably more time than he has in a minute, thanks to the quarantine with his children, and is always with us and multitasking with his children as well. Emile Jensen, Emile YX, some of you may know him as, hails from South Africa, works with over 16 different schools out there, works with the Heal the Hood project, has a new project he's using his book to fund for BRICS is it Books for Bricks, to build their own hip hop center out there. Emile YX, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about, your thoughts and what you're hearing so far.
Yeah, firstly, sorry for joining late.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah, just bouncing in and out, trying to also take care of my kids. Yeah, I'm obviously always interested in finding alternatives to what exists at present. The kids that I'm working with back in South Africa, I've taken some of them to work with them for the last, instead of just a specific amount of time, to be present with it for them whenever they need to communicate with me. And so I took a group of 5 young men from a community that's probably considered as the highest gang rate of murders in Cape Town, South Africa, and work with these young men on an ongoing basis and supply them with alternative information about our ancestry. And what we are currently doing is to dissect the content of what I wrote and to use because often what happens in hip hop is people with PhDs come and research and then that's it. They encode what we create. And so the process of what we're doing now is decoding it and breaking it up into the elements of hip hop culture so it can move back into the community. And so they are making beats and creating songs from the content. And the central content of this morning's conversation has been about them being dads, being fathers themselves. And how do you, how do you look at yourself as part of the circle? Because often hip hop shines its light on the center of the circle, and forgetting that the center of the circle where the light is shone also is a vacuum that sucks up all the economics and all of the circle's power, the family's power, the community's power. And ironically, halfway through the conversation, we were made aware that Amazon is building a building in Cape Town on ancestral land where one of the first battles for our liberation was fought. And so they decided to write the song about the power of our community and ability for the circle to actually confront alien intrusion from, this colonial forces that then suck up our community's wealth. So it's been an interesting day about the potential that alternative information can have on our young people's minds. And being a dad myself, recently I'm 53 and have two kids. One is 4 and one is 5. Waited a very long time because of I work in the community, so I understood the responsibility that you need and the time that you need available, and obviously I'm in the US at the moment, the fish out of water, my community, and that's why obviously I'm reaching out to you guys and to the nation, the union as well, just to find ways that we can solve this problem outside of the ones that, like Amazon, have been thinking global for a very long time. Their exploitation is a global exploitation that hip hop has the ability to address. And I see with what's happening here and the conversations having here online, that we have this power that we aren't utilizing, and we should utilize more often, because wherever there's injustice happening somewhere, they already have linked these ideas of how to exploit people in different parts of the world. And we have the technology at the moment to actually address this, and so that's why I'm glad to be here and to look at ways to interact so we can solve these problems. I'll end on one last thing, is that being here with my kids, I see that in order for us to change their thinking, we need to actually create literature ourselves, and address histories ourselves. The education system in the United States is still essentially white supremacy being taught to Black minds. And so in order to change that, we actually need to step in to address it, but also realize that we need a parallel education system that benefits our community to actually decode the racism embedded in in what is being taught to our kids. I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Great information, great sharing. As you can see, this is why we gather these individuals together. There's so much wisdom and experience here that I'm glad we're documenting. I'm glad we're recording it, because this is one of those things that can be used later. But with that being said, again, you're hearing from another father in hip hop. And this is, one of those double meanings too, right? Not just the fathers of the kids, but men in our culture that become father figures to the youth in the streets. As I said, many of us don't have father figures in our lives. So in a lot of cases, these rappers become a form of a father figure for us. You know what I mean? So when we're looking at them, we're living according to the code of what Mobb Deep taught us, according to the code of what Onyx taught us, or what NWA taught us, or alternatively, what Public Enemy taught us, or what Brand Nubian taught us, or what Nas taught us. And so we play an important role as men in this culture, not just to our own children, but to other children in the community. Whether you're rapping or you're managing or you're doing the videos behind the scenes, you have to take some responsibility for this. So it's great to have such common minds. Real quick, I wanted to take a moment to remind us all that there were some songs in hip hop that did sort of take this acknowledgement. There's a few artists. Asa, if you could pull that video up real quick. I just want us to watch this video and give us a kind of a sentiment of how hip hop tried to address the topic of fathers in hip hop.
Yeah.
All right, peace. I'm sure some of you remember that song. I figured it would be a good example for the conversation today.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Malik.
Yeah, let me again just take a moment to welcome everyone. We want to thank you all for taking the time to be with us today. This is another example of what we teach: hip hop beyond entertainment, beyond commercialism. And it helps us to look at what it means to be a hip hop citizen. What does it mean to be a citizen, a member of this culture and this community? In many ways, it's well beyond the lenses of entertainment or music even, right? There's so many other objectives, one of them spirituality. As fathers, this is something, we really need to take into real consideration in our day-to-day lives. And so we also have a good friend of mine as well, Minister Server, with, and he's often talked and taught this sermon about chosen people and what does it mean to be chosen. Server, are you with us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Peace and much love, everyone.
Come on, man. Take over.
Peace, Minister.
Peace.
Peace, family. Real quick, does anybody who isn't speaking, just please keep your microphone on mute so that way we can hear this. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yes, Server. Peace and blessings. Thank you for joining us today. It's been a minute.
Sure, indeed. Yeah, about 2 days minute. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, man. But first of all, I appreciate you all having this, man. This is an important conversation, and it's a needed conversation. I, like many on this line, was not raised by my father. I, like many on this line, was a young father. I had my first child when I was 20, and I was so ignorant and arrogant. I had my second child at 21. Thankfully, it was by the same woman, but at that time, I knew that I had to go within myself and learn what I did not know. And my commitment at 20 years old to the woman that I had a child with was, I don't know what's going to happen between you and I relationship-wise, but I promise you I was going to be the best father that I can to our child. My daughter's 36 years old right now, and I've never not been involved. I have 6 children now, me and her mother, and I had another child with her. We didn't stay together. We were 19 and 20, and 20 and 21 when we had our children. So there's no excuse in my mind. I work hard at not judging anyone on anything, but if I do judge any group of people, it's any men that allow themselves to make excuses to not being fathers in their children's lives. Whether it's the system, whether it's the relationship that they have with the woman. As Malik was talking about, I've been a part of fatherhood collectives down here in Atlanta, part of the Georgia Fatherhood Consortium, and I do workshops in self-empowerment for the child support system and things like that for young fathers. And what I, try to explain to them is that your relationship with your child, between you and whoever you call your creator, prayerfully it's by the woman that you love and want to be with, your wife and things of that nature. But we all know that that's not the case all the time. And that does not resolve you of your responsibility. So, it's beautiful when we can have men come together and talk honestly and respectfully and candidly and challenge each other to rise to that level of being our best God self. You know what I'm saying? Because when we recognize the God within us, then that changes the whole story. And I don't get into people's religion. Your religion is none of my business. I represent a higher infinite power healing our people. So whatever your path is, I'm sure it falls under that. But we have to make sure that we're giving them practical solutions and practical examples. So we work on what we call the 3 C's of fatherhood. And the first C is commitment. The second C is courage, and the third C is consistency. And when you put those together, obviously it's a long workshop, that goes into those 3. But when you put those together, it's a real commitment that not only benefits your child, but benefits your whole community, because all of us are examples of other people coming behind us. So big up to y'all for having this conversation, and I hope this conversation continues, because it's obviously more than a one-time thing. And I appreciate you all for allowing me to be a part of this. Word.
Definitely. That's peace. We appreciate you, brother. And this is far from the last conversation. Every conversation that we have is engaged on helping us to be the best versions of ourselves. Some of you may notice the image that you see behind me from the Knowledge of Self presentation that we've done before. This is the tool that we call the personal cipher in Chosen. It's something that we came up with when listening to our older brothers like Minister Server and so many Zulu brothers and teachers, that we started to put the knowledge into categories to help us, put it together in sections where we could share with the next members. And through the 100 categories that they taught us about, these were the 6 that we found directly related to who we are as self, who we are as a being, not just mental, physical, spiritual, as you can see, but also social, financial, and emotional. These are the 6 aspects of self that we teach our members to grow on a scale of 1 to 10, from where you are to where you want to be, and to help them develop a plan. So some of us have some specialties in some of these areas, and this is why I kind of use that as a frame, because in every speech that you've heard me do, excuse me, you've heard me say that the goal is to help you be the best version of yourself.
Bless
the
you.
best fathers, the best mothers, the best sisters, the best brothers, the best sons, the best daughters. And in that list, of course, is the best fathers. And that's how we want to sort of look at it and frame it today. So with that, I do want to bring it back to our, the featured guest speaker today, so to speak, the organizer, Justified Smith, the organizer of Fathers in Hip Hop. And I'm kind of look at it from this frame. One of the things that I noticed on your website, which for those that don't know is fathersinhiphop.com, you can check that out and get more information and his contacts as well, was that you teach something about the financial aspects. If I'm correct, tell us a little bit about that and how you address it. Justified? You're on mute. Got a little hair in my throat. You're on mute, brother. I can't hear you.
Am I there now?
There you go.
You got me now? You got
Yes,
me now?
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Me necessarily, I'm not the teacher.
Okay.
But it's groups of men and people like this that I gravitate to, because knowledge is power. And I feel that with fatherhood, that there's some things that, fathers need to have. And financial literacy is one of those things, and good credit. And I've partnered with sponsors like my guy Ron, who has Dex Credit Service. And when I do these events, I allow people with the knowledge to speak and to bring that information to the forefront. Right. And so, like I said, you used the word when you just brought me back in. I'm an organizer. I find the information that needs to be shared, and I leave it, to the pros to bring that to the table. That's why it's fathers with an S in hip hop, and not just a father in hip hop, because I don't know it all. And that's the power of this group. And Malik has been, telling me about, you guys a lot. And a lot of times I'm not able to make it because of previous engagements or the kids and things of that nature. But I'm so glad that today, I was able to get in here and meet you, gentlemen and women that are in the group. But definitely, I believe that there's tools that a father must have. And
Okay.
like I said, having good credit is one of them. Understanding how to manage money is another. Because getting money is kind of easy when you're a hustler, but it's the management of it. And I've always been more of a saver than a spender. I'm not worried about, name brand clothes. I rock my own stuff.
Right.
I'm a swap meet shopper. And, I just try to teach my kids how to save. I have three stepdaughters that I only say that for reference that they weren't born by me, but I've been in their life since they were young. And even in their mother passing, I'm still, connected to them. And we're still a family. The two youngest, the twins, they're 24 now. They call me dad. They like, the older they were like in probably junior, sophomore in high school when I came into the picture. But her kids called me grandpa. And, we're very much still connected. I didn't allow the fact that their mother had passed away to, disconnect me from them. And I'm grateful that they didn't allow that disconnect either. And, but with my twins, the 24-year-old twins, I'm always on them about, what they do with their money. They were 17 when their mother passed, and they moved to Alabama with their grandmother by, her saying that was what was best for them. They wanted to take my younger ones, and I couldn't allow that to happen. I said, I really don't have much say over them, but, you're not taking the ones that's from me. But when they turned 18, one of them wanted to come home to me, and I allowed her to come back. Because I told them when they left, as long as I got a roof over my head, you'll have one over yours if you need me. And she wanted to come back. Once she, got 18 and could make the decision to leave her grandmother, she wanted to come back to me. And I used to have her, I didn't make her, but I suggested to her to take a little bit of her money out of each check, because I got her hooked up with a job. I got little connections up here where I'm at. So I got her a job through a friend. And I told her to bring me some of her money out of every check. Not for me to use. I didn't charge her rent. I told her, you don't have to, I'm not going to charge you rent. I want you to get on your feet and, get your own. Right. But in her first, 2.5 months back with me, she had saved enough money to get her own car. She bought a car. And I taught her the value of saving, and, and she respected that, and she listened. She got off, after she saved up so much, she's like, can I get that? Here you go.
Right.
And, she would have been. God bless. But I think fathers need to know how to manage money in order to manage their family, because you can't raise a family without money. But it's just things that I think that men need to know when it comes to being a father, to be the best father that they can be. And like I said, since I don't know it all, I always try to bring other individuals to the events and to the table, to emphasize on those things that I feel are important. Credit.
Same here, and that's sort of what we wanted to do tonight. We wanted to bring you together so you could share your expertise. But then, again, my brother Malik Matthews, that's what he does. It's financial planning. So Malik, if you have something to say, you can. But I do want Omen to go ahead and drop some wisdom on us on the finances, since that's what he does.
This is nothing but a segue. This is nothing but a segue, because it's wonderful how organically this conversation is connecting to us developing this event tonight and how it was able to take place. But something Server and yourself, and especially with Justify, we're talking about as we move into the this financial understanding. We never need to learn it all. We never need to know it all. What's better is when we have point of reference, right? Point of reference. And we often talk about how sometimes it's really difficult to teach everyday people in the street, right? People don't want to hear nothing. People don't want to know. They're not going to learn. We can't speak too far over their head. But something that I argue is that regardless if their language is different, they still are having the similar experiences financially and economically that many of us are experiencing. And one concept that is directly related to what we're talking about is one's propensity to save. That's your economic term, group. Your propensity to save. And I like to take that as the segue and pass it to Dr. Matthews. Please, brother, can you expound on that?
Definitely.
Please. So First things first, when we talk about this topic, I do want to tie it back to something that Justified spoke about at the very outset, which is that when people think of the role of fatherhood, they do think of the role of provider. My dad, the only two roles that I remember him playing when I was younger was as the provider and as the disciplinarian. So he didn't otherwise interact with us, right? Raising us was my mom's job. If he came in my room, I felt fear. Right? And so it's been important to me to make sure that my kids experience a life with a father who they can enjoy spending time with. And, as my dad has said to me, now in adulthood, he used to say when I was a kid to my mom that he was working hard so that we wouldn't have to. And so in adulthood, he's like, now I wish that I would have done it a different way. You never feel like you look back on life and wish you had worked more. Right. Like nobody ever says that. They look back and they wish they had spent more time with their kids. They wish they had spent more time doing things that people value. And so I say that because one of the important things to understand about finance is that it is part of a whole picture. And my managing partner at my company, which is Northwestern Mutual, actually gave us this phrase that I thought was interesting. We talk about work-life balance very often. And what he said was work-life balance makes it sound like these things are in competition with each other. But you're seeking to work on one day, you're seeking to enjoy life on another day, and then like they're constantly competing. So what you're looking for is alignment.
Balance.
And so instead of work-life balance, think in terms of alignment. And when we think in terms of alignment, that's where we come into thinking about what Sir Malik once spoke about, which is propensity to save. So begin with the fact that most people don't actually know what the target is that they should be aiming for. The general rule of thumb is, since 99% of us are income-based, only 1% of the society is wealth-based. Those of us who are income-based need to understand what to do with our income to make it go first, and B, understand how to protect our income, especially in the event that something happens to us that we're not able to provide. So on what to do with income, the ratios we speak of are 20-60-20. So you are supposed to save 20% of what you bring home. And then from that, you live off of 60% of your gross income. And then the remaining is what we like to call fun money. And we use that term specifically because that makes people feel at ease with going about life, experiencing life, and doing things that bring them joy and bring them fulfillment. So 20-60-20 is where we begin, because when people aren't on target, they go one of two directions. They either overspend because they don't know that they're actually putting themselves behind the eight ball, or they hold on to too much and then they don't live life. I recently worked with somebody who was saving, he was making 2 paychecks a month and was saving one entire paycheck, just a whole paycheck. We're talking about, you're supposed to put away 20%, and he was putting away like 40% per month. And we're like, it's okay to live life, man. It's okay to do things, have joy, go on trips. And he like myself had been homeless, and he was just trying to put himself in a position where he would never be broke again.
Right.
So, that experience has colored my thinking about this stuff. And I too am motivated by the idea of never being broke again. But I also want to make sure that we keep that alignment in mind, that we want to, we're not working just to work. We're working to benefit, we're working to provide. But first things first, understand what the ratios are that we're supposed to be aiming for. Again, 20-60.
Right. So real quick with that, to paraphrase, and again, I was in the industry for a while too. Your cost of living shouldn't exceed 60% of what you make. So you basically take what you make in a month and then put that down to 60%, right? So it's time 0.60, and your cost of living shouldn't exceed that. So it's sort of like when you're looking for an apartment, you want to say, okay, I make $2,000 a month, right? So I don't want to spend more than, what would 60% be?
1,200.
1,200, right? So 1,200, I can't spend, and not even, my bad. That's too much. This is all your bills. So this would include your light, your electric, your cell phones, your internet, your Wi-Fi shouldn't exceed 60%. So with that, you got to break it down and say, so I'm looking for a place where I don't got to spend more than $800 for the rent, and then I get this much for electric and, you know, cell phone and internet and blah, blah, blah. And then you have the other 40%, 20% to save, and then 20% to use to treat yourself to dinner one night a week, to go get a little something for the family. And this is how you budget yourself. These are things that we can be taught in grade school, but we're not. We won't get into the reasons why. But this is why I want to break it down now so you can understand. So when you guys are looking for your next level of living, use the math that he's given us here. You know, 60% of what you make in a month is what you want to your bills not to exceed, right? So you got to keep it as close to 60. It might be 65, maybe 70, but you want to keep it as close to that as possible, because then now you can live on the rest. Now you're not struggling from paycheck to paycheck, paying the cell phone this month and not paying the electric bill, and then vice versa. That's where we end up, because they don't teach us our cost of living. They don't teach us how to manage a budget. So this is why we want to do things now, where we can start sharing these thoughts with fathers now. And if you don't have the ability to go find it on the internet, which you can, Google, we have brothers like Malik Matthew, who that's their specialty, or you can find somebody that you're comfortable with. But yeah, these are the kinds of things that we're touching on. And real quick, I think OG Daddy had something he wanted to say. You got to unmute yourself.
Sure.
OG Daddy V.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I downloaded it just to fizzle, and that your boy is in the hizzle for rizzle.
Yeah, I sent the link to my guy OG Daddy V. He's a major historian here on the West Coast, and he was trying to call me while we was in the conference. I was like, "Hey man, you should. I'm on the Zoom. Check it out." And I sent him the link, and I'm glad that he tapped in.
Right.
Salute to you, OG Daddy V.
All right, that's what's up. Peace, and thank you for joining us.
Off top.
Right,
I'm tapping into any and everything that's in full motion. And then I'm feeling you on everything you saying too. And I'm getting ready to actually do the same thing you doing, giving people that advice, but in person.
All right.
I'm about to gather them.
We're going to get there.
Exactly.
We're going to get there. We just waiting for this COVID to pass by, but we're going to be doing it in person real soon. Stay tuned.
Where are you talking from?
We're actually based in New York, but we're nationwide.
Okay, you in the NY. Okay, yeah. I got people out there. It's all good. I'm doing the same.
We got brothers. The brother just speaking was in Cincinnati. We got another brother from Nevada. We got brothers in Chicago. We got brothers all over the place. So we just trying to spread this worldwide now. Feel me?
Oh, okay. That's what's up. That's what I was actually calling you about, Justified. I'm on the same page as far as bringing everybody together. We're gonna get together this Sunday. I'm about to start doing something. I'm starting a in full motion army, and it's just basically a networking movement where everybody can come together, and we're gonna all move in everything we do 100 deep. That way, it brings power to everything everybody's doing. And we're gonna stop going to events, and we're gonna throw our own events, and we're gonna bring our own dollars to each other.
Definitely get with us. We definitely want to build on that. So I appreciate you dropping in. Definitely share that with us. Connect with us on Chosen Zulu on Facebook or chosenzulu.com. We would love to build with you, and maybe we could do a week like this where we talk about some of the work that you're doing and people like yourself. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, off top. Okay, Justin Fuzzle, I'm gonna get at you in a hot sec. I'm just peeping game and listening to and soaking up game. I'm just soaking up right now.
I'm gonna call you when we wrap this up. Thank you for joining, bro. That means a lot to me. That you
I got
you. The situation.
I got you.
Definitely, we appreciate that. And anybody else, please, I just ask you to make sure you mute your microphone if you're not speaking. You might not notice the background noise yourself, but we all hear it, and it makes it hard to hear the speaker. So just keep it on mute until you're ready to speak. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And Malik Matthew, again, we were breaking down the 20-60-20. I just wanted to keep it simple for them so they can start thinking and using the math. Continue,
exactly. And the reason we talk about that ratio being critical is because one of the reasons fathers tend to be absent from their kids' lives is because we know that we need to provide. We know our children need more. And we feel like the way to do that is to work more. So my dad would always work overtime. And I talk with him about it now. You know, he doesn't have kids anymore. And my mom is like, he still just works overtime because he doesn't know what to do with himself. Like, and, you know, I'm actually meeting with my parents. My parents are meeting with my team to sit down and talk about their finances, in part because they don't know whether they're on track for retirement and they're getting close to that age. But the reason I bring this up is because when you have the 20-60-20 approach, the part that you're saving, you're not just putting away in a bank account. You put part of it away so that you make sure that you have emergency funds that you can access in case anything difficult happens. But then part of it, you start playing you make your money make money for you. Right? So like I came up in a community where my grandmother would tell me, if you are short on money, you just save. Take money out of your check and put it in a jar or put it under your mattress. I mean, I really am sad that she passed away while I was in Ohio and I didn't get to see what was under her mattress because she was probably balling. But but the better play is typically to play in a realm where a lot of us are unfamiliar with it. And so one of the reasons I moved to financial planning and financial advisory is to demystify the financial industry. There's a lot of distrust of financial industry in our communities, in part because it was intentionally made complex. So I run my own practice, affiliated with Northwestern Mutual. And one of the things I was talking with a number of people about this week was that people in our industry tend not to want to work with people who don't have a certain level of resources. Right? Somebody actually gave me that advice. They said, well, you know, you're not going to be able to build a practice by trying to help people who don't have a lot, you know, get better off. You're better off working with people who already have something. Well, their thinking is informed by the fact that if we work with people who have resources, they're able to do things that give us more commission. I'm okay. My family's okay. And we'll be able to manage earning a living. But it's a personal mission of mine to help people understand how to better their lives, whether we're just talking about identifying your cash flow, learning to budget better. One thing I do think every father should have is life insurance. Every father should have insurance. And it's relatively cheap. You can get it for, you know, I've met people at bars who are telling me they can't afford them. Like, you're here at a bar with a tab. The amount of tab you just signed right there can get you X number of, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars of life insurance and make sure that you create generational wealth. So that's one of the main things that I'm trying to do, make sure that people understand how accessible future prosperity for ourselves and our generations actually is if we learn the game. And so I'm trying to kind of bridge that gap between those who know and those who intentionally have been shut out from that knowledge. You know, so I'm definitely available as a resource. I know that, you know, some of you know me well, some of you don't, but anybody can reach me. I'm seeing the question of how much life insurance is popping up. Generally, the rule of thumb is whatever your salary is, you're trying to make sure that if something happens to you, your family can succeed without that salary. Right. Because for those of us who are income-based, if the income stops, all of a sudden, everything falls apart. So the general principle is if you are part of a couple, you want 10 times your salary. If you are a single father, like I am, you want 20 times your salary to make sure that the household can be sustained for an extended period of time. For some people, that may be less attainable, but I will say something is better than nothing. If you can't do 10 times your salary because you can't pay that premium, but you can do 8 times your salary, do that. And the premiums tend not to be that high. I just sold a policy. You know, a brother got $100,000 policy for, you know, $25. That was what he could afford, but we put it on the table, and all of a sudden he feels happy because his 2 daughters are taken care of. A lot of people during this crisis suddenly realize the importance of it when one parent was gone or both parents were gone or a partner was gone. And in addition to the emotional burden, you're suddenly dealing with the financial burden. And there are huge segments of society who never have that problem. Never. I have never sat down with anybody who has had financial resources and come from well-off white communities who didn't already have life insurance. Their only question was, should I have more? Or should I convert to a different type or something like that? It's just par for the course in those communities. Meanwhile, but in our communities, everybody's running a GoFundMe campaign. And that's not sustainable.
True talk. Definitely appreciate that. One of the things that they call it is an estate, right? When you leave your family an estate, right? So you leave them some financial well-being. So even after you're gone, like you said, the bills will still be paid. There's different types of life insurance, and there's also a difference between whole life and temporary. These are things that you want to understand, and you can get a basic understanding of to realize what's the benefit of this or what's the benefit of that. Different lifestyles might have different requirements. So for some, it might be this one. For others, it might be that. But these are the basic things that you can get an understanding of so that you can say, it ain't 10 times my salary, but at least if something happened to me, they get $200,000. They don't got to worry about raising funds to buy a tombstone for my burial and paying for the expenses, which too much of us have experienced. You know what I mean? These are the things, like he said, are not taught in our community. It's taught in their community. They're good. They have legacies, right? That's what they call their estates, legacies, right? We don't even have the $5,000 to cover our own funeral expenses. So these are the things that is important to start understanding. One of the groups that we're going to have join us, hopefully, eventually, I can't remember the name now, but they teach kids between the ages of 8 to 16 financial literacy. And these kids at 10 years old are breaking down stocks to you and why it's not good to invest in that company. And they can tell from reading the article about the company whether it's a good or not good investment. That's how simple it is. They're like, the kids can understand addition and multiplication. They can understand investments because that's all it really is. Why aren't we taught it? Because they don't feel it's necessary for us to know this. So it's on us to start creating forums like this where we can educate ourselves on the basics, link each other to the places where they can get more details, or the organizations or the communities. And now, because things are virtual, we can do it just like this, where you can meet somebody like Brother Malik on a Zoom call, talk to him about your life, what your wishes are, and maybe you don't have it yet, but now you have a goal of what you need to do in order to get ready and prepare for that. With that being said, I do want to get around and hear everybody's opinion. We got one of our brothers joining us, Tito Fist Rivera. I see you got your hand up. Yes, brother. Please share.
Peace. Good evening. I'm just sitting here with my children and I'm enjoying the conversation. I want to send a quick shout out to all the sisters in the room that chose to come and stand with us and join us. It's always been interesting. Since 2012, I've been a single father. And when Mother's Day come around, a lot of times I'll be getting flowers too. So, I'm grateful that when the Father's thing happens, we also recognize the sisters and keep that unity and recognizing male or female, if we're holding down the next generation, we should honor that. I also wanted to share an indigenous perspective that I think would be insightful and we consider long-term strategy for the strengthening of our communities and people. I imagine that if we could take all the money there is right now on the earth, every single paper dollar, every single coin, we could make a big pile, put it all in one spot. No touching. We just look at it. It would be a really big pile of paper and coin, huh? Now imagine we took that and we threw all the gold and the silver in that pile. It was still, my submission to you is it would still only represent a very small part of all the value the earth has given us freely. And the part of the challenge that we have as indigenous peoples, but in particular as Tainos, is helping people reawaken to the greater truth, to come out of the slumber that capitalism and white supremacy have put so many people into, and that they've been involved with for so long, to think that these terms, these tools, these terms, these devices of exchange are the best that humanity will ever have. And that there are a lot of people that maintain a strong understanding of the most ancient forms of trade and exchange and the way that we give value to the earth, which gives us everything. and also to the lives that we share this earth with, and to each other. You see, if you treat every soul like it's priceless, if you treat every person you see that in their moment, in their existence, is without price, then you begin to understand a new value system, which is not new on the earth, but may be new to you. Because for so long, so many people have put this white supremacist, colonialist, capitalist framework as their game to play, their rat race to win. So we raising our children, you know, my children, say hi, guys.
Hi.
They're 10 and 12 years old. Some of y'all know them. My children have...
Peace, family.
Yes, thank you. My children, my loves, you know, they are learning about liberation. They are learning their Taino ways and heritage. They're learning about hip hop culture. They're learning about economics and politics. They're learning about modern day slavery, you know? And there's no way that I could replace letting some other person or some other community center or some other after school program to do the work that's within my power to do as their parent. You see, my submission is that every parent needs to be their children's primary teacher and take charge in organizing on their development, a strategy to help them first develop a personal vision for their life. You know, ask them, what's your dream? You know, when you're 6 years old, your dream is to be a space commando. You want to shoot aliens off the moon. But how can I take that little particle, that little seed, and say, okay, well, guess what? If you want to be a space commando, that means you want to be a warrior. And I'm going to teach you this fitness plan to help you be strong. And I'm going to teach you about your muscles and your bones and how to stretch. And I'm going to make you, you know, take on some challenges. And so when we first start to let the seed of their own inspiration guide us, it's amazing what can happen. And so I just wanted to share these thoughts because as a Taino, as an indigenous person, we know that the first teacher must be the family, it must be the community. And we should continue to carry that message forward. Yeah, it's great that I'm setting my children up with success, but that shouldn't be the rarity. That shouldn't be the exception. That should be the way we organize and mobilizing across all our communities to create that educational revolution. Just like, and I'll finish with this, like Malcolm X and others have said, how the hell are we going to let our oppression teach our children?
Well said, brother. Another brother had his hand up. Robert Webb, you had something to share? You're on mute.
Greetings, everybody.
Peace.
I just wanted to say that what we are basically talking about is responsibility. It is as adults, we are responsible for the guidance and examples that our children and children that aren't our children can make reference to, so that they themselves can do it their way. So we're setting that path. Sure. So I say that to say, as a parent, I'm a parent and my children, they're adults, but they're still my children. So there's always going to be a growth process, not with just them, but with me. And we have to make sure that interconnectivity stays, because what happens over time is as children get older and as we age, there's a divide. We all of a sudden may feel that they know everything or that we know everything or that we don't need to teach them everything. Right. If we just listen and hear what's going on, then you'll know what's missing and what can be corrected. You understand? So,
absolutely.
One of the things that I did, you know, I taught my children. I'm not bragging because I'm not about bragging about anything. But it was taught upon me to teach my children certain things. So, for example, I'm a perfect example. Make sure that you teach your children from birth, before birth, and after birth. And make sure that when they leave that household, and they go on to school, that they're being properly taught the way that you feel that they should be taught.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all know that the system is retarded, is handicapped. All it does is it unlearns what parents are trying to teach them or what's instilled genetically within.
Right.
So we just have to make sure that that is continued. And then, you know, what happens nowadays is, you know, a lot of as adults, we have a tendency to say that these teenagers or that these young adults, they don't want to hear. We can't take that approach.
Right.
You know, we got to keep talking to them. We got to keep listening to them. I don't care where they are, what state of mind they may be in. We have to reach out to them. You know, I have adults that still come to me today and that I still might have questions about. What's going on? What is their basic check about? Explain to me what my paycheck means. We got to keep it on that level. You understand what I'm saying?
True.
We got to keep it on that level so we understand the systems that their money are going into. Now, whether we choose, whether we believe in those systems or not, the fact is that that money is still going there and it's theirs and it's ours. So we have to make sure that those systems stay, that whatever happens to those systems, that we get what we deservingly have, which is rightfully ours. Okay.
Definitely. I agree. Truth. And that's why we gathered here today. This is the beginning. I appreciate those words, brother, and I appreciate you sharing. Definitely.
And we have to, you know, we can start there. We can start with water. You want to keep it as simple as possible. As an indigenous brother that I am from Kemet, being straight up with y'all, we can talk about the water. You want to talk to them? You can reach anybody about water. Let's start with water. And we go from there. Peace.
Peace. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Peace. Thank you.
As mentioned, you know, financial is only part of it, right? You know, I spoke on that because it's one of those things that we lack common knowledge of. And I spoke on that first, but it's just important to consider not just what kind of financial legacy or estate you're leaving your family, but how are you teaching them physically? What kind of example are you setting for them? Are you healthy? Are you maintaining your health? Are you exercising? Are you taking the medication that you need to take? Are you avoiding the things that you shouldn't be drinking or smoking or whatever? You know what I mean? Mentally, what kind of example are you setting for them? Do they see you studying or reading or learning new things or sharing knowledge or participating in groups like this, like the brother got his kids there in the background? These are the kind of examples we want to set. If every time they see you socialize with your friends and you're smoking or you're drinking or you're watching YouTube or sports, you're not really going to do anything, this is what they learn. This is what they watch. But when we're in groups where we're building with each other and they're hearing part of these conversations, then they get to a point where these are the kind of things that they talk about. I had an image where it shows two men walking and they're talking with their hands behind their heads. And it says, please mute yourself if you're not speaking, please. I thank you for joining us. Just throw it on mute, please. And the image shows a little boy walking behind the two men, just emulating them, walking behind them. You know, you never know who you're influencing. So when we're socializing, when we're hanging out, when we're speaking about certain topics, sometimes we forget that our kids are in the room, right? Sometimes they're just quiet and we think they're not paying attention. But the truth is they're listening and absorbing everything. They're watching everything. And the example and the way we speak with our hands, your child ends up picking up. Right. But more importantly to me, and each one of these aspects that we're speaking about is just as important. But you see also on the list, emotional, right? What kind of emotional example and standard are we setting for our kids? Do they see us get angry and yell and scream and bang things? Or do they see us work things out like mutual adults? Do they see us treat each other with respect and share each other's perspective and agree to disagree and move on? Or do they see anger and that energy that festers the house? Some of you grew up in that kind of household, so you know when they're mad at each other, you can feel the energy, you feel the toxicity. Are we setting that example? Are we alleviating that from their environment? These are the things that are also important. So we have to remember not only to be there financially, but like the brother Malik Matthew said, you look back and you say, you never say, I wish I worked more. You say, I wish I spent more time with them. So take the time every day, if possible, to hug your kids, to squeeze your kids, to tell them you, even after they grow up, I know once they get to their teens, they barely want to talk to you anymore, but still reach out anyway. Leave them the voicemails, leave them the text messages to let them know that they're loved and appreciated, so that they can emulate that and carry that on, because it's not enough to make money. And it's not enough to be cool and connected and everybody in the social environment knows you and loves you, but you're angry or you're mean or you're frustrated, and that's what they're passing on to each other. K1, brother joined us in here, but real quick, before I get to any sisters, I know you guys are hearing things, and it's time for, you know, the brothers to listen from the sisters' perspective, because again, there's only so much we can talk about in a given amount of period, but let's hear from the sisters what they think as far as fathers in hip hop, of what they're hearing or suggestions or additions. I don't want to have to call you out, but I know a few of you have been on the call with us before, so you might feel a little more comfortable. Melody, Samantha, Todd, share with us. Tell us what you think, what you're hearing, what we might be forgetting. You don't got to be shy. We are family. We ain't going to get upset. If you don't want to speak on the line, it's okay. You can send it in text, but it's important for us to hear from you as well. And I'm trying to get to people as much as I can. I wanted to call on you when the brother Tito had said it. But K1, I know you had raised your hand. Oh, your mic seems disconnected. I can't hear you. All right, and we got brother Pluto 7 that joined us. I don't know how much he was able to hear, but thank you for joining. Aries the Voice, another brother, thank you for joining. And I appreciate you guys stopping in. Again, right now I want to open up the floor. From what people have heard, from what we're discussing, any thoughts, any ideas, suggestions? And we'll get ready to wrap this up shortly.
Peace, brothers and sisters. This Aries the Voice. I just think a lot of information that came out today, especially even from the indigenous brother, it was definitely helpful. And the financial information that came out, it's funny. I literally just started getting into like stocks and crypto and things like that. And as a person who is just like a regular person from the hood, once I started getting into it and learning the ins and outs, doing my due diligence in certain companies, I started like posting certain things on Facebook to the point where I started really making money in stocks. And now I have a lot of regular hood people. I'll say it the way it is. Regular hood people getting into investing now. And so I think that the market now, like the brother said before, like a lot of things were written to where it was made to confuse us. And so like a lot of us were not born being financially literate to the point where we knew how to even pass that down. Because to me, even that is a different form of generational wealth. As the brother brought up before, generational wealth, with passing things down, that information, to be able to have that information and just be able to get into the game is also generational wealth, because you got kids that know about the stock market from the time that they're young because their parents are letting them know. And I've never thought that I actually watch the market now almost the same way I watch the NBA. Like, actually, I think I watch my stocks now, actually probably more. I'm always watching it. And to me, it's literally like a game when I watch it rise and fall. And so if I'd have known about a lot of this earlier, I really wish I would, but I'm actually happy I'm in the game now. And I think that it's actually because of the COVID, this is actually a great time for regular people to actually get back into the market now as things is coming back. Brother PRiZM, continue to do your thing. I've always been watching you, like whether it be on your Facebook post or a couple of times we ran into each other at parades or different outings. I'm always going to be in the field. I'm an activist myself, and it's just peace to keep doing what you guys are doing.
Definitely. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for sharing. We appreciate that. You keep doing your thing too, brother. I'll see you out there. All right. Anyone else? NS had put a comment in the chat. There's a book called The Power of Presence. Teaches how important it is to just be there in the presence of your children. Kids these days need love more than others, and if they don't get it from a father, they will be vulnerable. And that is part of what I wanted to talk about, and part of what Justified had touched on when he spoke earlier. And I understand his reason for saying it, but as one of those kids that grew up with a stepfather, understand that dad is more important than the word father. You understand? We all got fathers somewhere, but not all of us got a dad. You know, so when you got that dad that raised you, they ain't even blood, but they raised you and they was there for you and they took care of you and they protected you and defended you and looked out for you and taught you and educate. That has more meaning than the word fathers. So from all of us that had a stepdad out there that raised us like blood and took us in, thank you for doing what you do. One of my cousins passed away early, and she had just got married and had a baby from a previous marriage. And the man took the child in with his new baby just like it was his own and raised him to this day, 10, 15 years later. And that's not something that everybody can do. So props and respect for all those who inherited children and loved them and raised them and cared for them and educated just like they were their own blood, because that is more powerful than blood. One of the posts I shared a couple of days ago is that sometimes you got to teach your kids that blood can be just as shady as enemies. And it's hard to hear that, but it's real. And then it goes on to say family is the family that's by you no matter what. You know, and that's the kind of families that we're trying to build, that we're trying to grow, we're trying to create and defend. You know what I mean? Why we do what we do and we call ourselves chosen is because we can all make the choice to be chosen. That just means being the best version of yourself in every aspect of your life. As you see here, so the financial aspect, we also refer to as the professional aspect. So if you're doing something professionally, whether it's a b-boy or a DJ or MC or a radio host or a cook, or, you know, an accountant, whatever it is, you do it to the best of your ability, because that's what's going to enable you to provide more and do more. You know, Brother K1, I know you had raised your hand before your mic wasn't working. You with us? You have something you wanted to share? It's on mute. All right. Okay. No doubt. Got you. Let me know. Hit me in the text. But yeah, anybody that wants to share, feel free.
We also got Brother Chaos. Chaos, are you ready as well?
Yes, I'm here. Let me see what I was gonna say. I'd like to say that you know, I really appreciate what Justified, Malik, Matthew, and what Melody, what you guys do for your communities and young fathers and helping people out. You know, Tito, Robert, Emile, what you guys, what you speak on and what you do is very much appreciated, and it's valuable for any kids to have a sense of guidance and a sense of direction. Not everybody's that fortunate to have that. I don't want to bring myself into this, but I'm someone who's experienced that, and it's much appreciated to see other people care and bring that into a community of like-minded thinkers who can implement that and pass that on to be able to teach kids, whether it's, you know, learning basic life skills, learning how to use tools, finances, basics of economics, things that they can utilize to make their lives a little bit better, or knowledge or wisdom that they can pass on to their future children. I'm not a father myself. I'm pretty young, and I look forward to hopefully being a father someday. And the most of what I've got to do is help other people. My sisters, you know, they have, my nieces, they didn't exactly all have fathers that were there for them, or even dads. So, you know, whatever knowledge that I was able to obtain from people who were like older brothers, or in a sense, father figures, in place of what I didn't have, able to pass that knowledge and teach them. You know, that's very important for the future generations, and is much appreciated. You know, what you guys do for your communities and for other people, and people who are struggling, fathers who are struggling. Sorry, I kind of froze up for a second there. But I'd like to close this out with a couple quotes. The quality of a father can be seen in the goals, dreams, and aspirations he sets not only for himself, but for his family. And a real father leaves evidence of accountability, reliability, teaching, coaching, lessons learned, growth, maturity, inspiration, perseverance, faith, love, family, and a home. And as participants in the hip hop culture and chosen, I think you guys are a very important source to help carry this on for the future generations and people who would like to learn more about hip hop culture and essentially being good role models for the future generations. It's, like I said, important for future generations to have guidance and direction, because without that, you know, a lot of kids end up lost, and you know, they can end up on a destructive path. So even if it's like a brother figure at the very least who has that knowledge that maybe he learned from his father figure to teach somebody else, you know, I think it's integral in a kid's growth and the growth of their mind in just everything, you know, every aspect of their life. And you guys are very much appreciated. Much respect for what you guys do and all the fathers on the call. Happy early Father's Day.
All right. I appreciate that. And again, this is one of the younger brothers who joins these calls and listens and learns from us. And he's a representative of dozens, if not hundreds, that all of us have in our life that listen to us and pay attention and watch where we're listening. And again, the father role, you know, sometimes you're a father figure as an artist, as a manager, as a producer, somebody that these people look up to and turn to for advice. You know, we all have to be aware of this and cognizant of this. And before we wrap it up, I'll touch on this one thing. A few weeks ago, we had a meeting with Dr. Elliot again, where he talked about ACEs, and it's basically when you experience more than one trauma in your life, right? So it could be neglect, it could be abuse, it could be a car accident, it could be all these different traumatic events that cause some effect on you. And it's not just regular PTSD, but levels of complex PTSD. Often in my life coaching practice, I work with, you know, hundreds of people over the years and help them get from the life, you know, that they have to the life that they want to have and want to live. And in some cases, when I go through the same image I showed you today behind me, the personal cipher, in the emotional aspect, they know they don't want to be that angry. They know they don't want to be that cold. They know they don't want to be that rude, but it's something in them that they can't shake. They don't know why. And Dr. Elliot again alluded to, especially in the case of the indigenous, ethnic, native, you know, or melanated people, because of what we later discovered is a post-traumatic slave syndrome, where we're still carrying the anger and the resentment of being slaves. And we carry this sort of thing with us where you're not my master no more, so you can't talk to me like that. And often we find ourselves taking out that energy on our family, on our loved ones, on the people closest to us. And we don't want to be that way. And we don't realize why. We just think it's the way we are, it's the ghetto, it's the hood, it's the way it is. But it's part of that symptom of post-traumatic slave syndrome that was passed down generation to generation, using violence and anger and threats and that malevolent presence over people to intimidate them to do what we want them to do. And it's not our fault. But at the same time, we're adults setting examples for the young people. We have to start to take responsibility for that. And for me, it's one of those things that when I recognize, when I'm coaching somebody and I know they're intelligent enough to know the next step they got to do, they're capable of doing it, but that emotional block is stopping them. I'm not a specialist in that. So I would have to refer them to a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, whatever applies. And I want to make that aware to all of us. It's not a bad thing to admit when you need help or therapy. It's actually a strength to be able to admit that you need help and you need somebody to work with that. Because too many times we create these environments for our family and our loved ones, not realizing that we're in it, and it persists in our children and their children and their children's children. And for that, I want to make it important to say that it's not just about the finances. Yes, we have to learn how to do that, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, the non-physical aspects of ourselves, again, as you see the cycle, one half is the non-physical. The other half is what relates to the physical, social, the people we deal with, the community that we're a part of, the heritage that we claim and we recognize, the way our people are treated, the way we treat each other and our friends is all part of that social aspect, as well as financial/professional. And when we can start to teach our kids these kind of things younger, they can choose what profession they want to go into. And they can be emotionally intelligent enough to know the right way to resolve things without resorting to anger or yelling or threats or insults or condescending or violence, right? So these are the things that we want to make it important to highlight. And these are the things that we teach about in Chosen Networks, which is the parent company of Chosen Zulu. So Chosen Zulu, we use hip hop knowledge to introduce them to the which we spoke about today, and then tie that into how they can be a better individual, a better man, a better woman, better father, better community member, better employee, to the point where you get raises and promotions and become a manager or director or vice president, or start your own company or get a better offer from another industry. These are the things that we want to start instilling on each of us, so that way we can pass this on to the next generation. So while this conversation serves as a great discussion, this is only the introduction. We invite you to join us on another call. We also have a private call where we get a little bit more in depth into these things. And we have a subscription for $9.99 a month. There's 4 private weekly calls where you can get more in detail with these kinds of conversations. We can start to help each other build that plan for what we want to do individually. So if you have a program or an idea for a company or a business idea, we get together and we support each other and we help each other, point each other in the right direction for how to achieve that plan. That's always been the goal behind Chosen: get our community together and help each of us to achieve the best version of ourselves possible. With that, we can go on and on, but we try not to keep it too long. Fathers in Hip Hop was a great topic tonight, as well as the founder of the organization. It was great to have. Asa, I know if there's something you want to share, go ahead.
Peace. Yes, great discussion, great presentation. You might hear some noise in the background. I'm home with the children as well and the family. I'm also a father in hip hop. For those of you that don't know, my name is Asa of Chosen from the Bronx, New York. Like I said, I'm a father in hip hop. I'm also a hip hop citizen. I am a guardian of the hip hop culture through education, inspiration, and fellowship. I'm so glad that PRiZM and Chosen and all of us have been able to get, bring something like this together. And, it was a lot said tonight. But, I just wanted to tell, for those that don't know, a little bit about myself, and then a little story and briefly, just so that you can know some background. And, I myself, I'm a young entrepreneur. I was a young entrepreneur educating in business. I have an accredited professional tax firm, Chosen Tax Service, LLC, with my great partner, Dolo. And I also have I'm also co-founder with PRiZM of Chosen, pardon self. And I'm also a wealth builder, educating on gold, silver, assets, and now cryptocurrency since 2014. And, my story, as a boy and as a man and a father of hip hop, I went through a lot of a big adventure, adventures of miracles, adventures of success, trials and tribulations, and adversities, as PRiZM and you said earlier, that taught me virtues, basically. So a lot of stuff was talked about on this call, and we didn't really go too much into detail on violence, which is okay, but we also have to let people know that there's a lot of violence around within the streets, within the homes, and no matter what is going around in your atmosphere, in your surroundings, that be strong, that you have support, you have to, learn certain things in life, and it's not going to be easy, but take the first steps. I've always was told and heard that the first steps are the hardest, and for me, basically, like I said, the virtues that I learned as being a father in hip hop and a father in hip hop business is basically love, faith, and survival, right? Love, for the love of me. You must love yourself, love your children as a father, and raising them right, giving them all you can. Faith in myself, faith in my Lord God, knowing and sometimes forgetting he's always there for me, and he will always be there for you. As hard as it may seem, if you see with open eyes faith in yourself to raise the bar and have the strength, you will see faith in knowing it will be better. Faith in hip hop, that we can make a better world through music, talent, skills, and education. Lastly, survival. Survival is as an individual, survival as a pillar in your family, survival with good versus evil, learning and battling the life's temptations, remembering to never give up, survival of the fittest, the keen, meaning sharp eye and sharp logic. As a father, you can help and take action to do good and make the wrong right. And you must always strive to innovate, make something new and different for your children. Those are the things that, we think about. My children are my why, making sure I survive from violence as my father did not, dying at a young age, 21 years old, black belt, making short films throughout the Bronx. I never met him really. I was only 6 months. He was taken, from us, protecting a friend from being robbed, and unfortunately through that, it carried over for years. We don't necessarily realize that losing a father, losing a mother, through violence, through natural causes, different things take a toll on the parents, take a toll on the fathers and the mothers. And, sometimes it takes many, many years, but we're here now, you understand? And we've made it this far, each of us, and surviving past my father's age and making damn sure that my child will be safe and protected through hip hop, learning and being able to provide generational wealth is my why. Hip hop saved my life, my children and my children's lives, giving us a life, a better life and a better one. Hip hop is also my why. That's why I always try to share, and that's what Chosen is doing, and all of us here is making sure that others learn, hear, feel, and bear witness to hip hop. Thank you all. Peace.
Peace, brother. Definitely appreciate your story and your sharing your wisdom. And I was going to mention too, when Aries was speaking before, that Asa is somebody who is up on the information, the cryptocurrency, the stocks, the investment, the gold and bullion. So that's definitely somebody you can reach out to. Manuel Oquendo on Facebook, also known as King Asa. So definitely reach out to him. And again, we're going to be setting up a class with a few specialists where we can get more in detail on the financial awareness that we as a people need to have. With that, final words from our guest speakers tonight. Justify, you with us? You got any final words?
Yep. Can you hear me? Am I unmuted?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to thank Malik once again for inviting me to the platform and giving me an opportunity to build and to grow with you guys. I think this is awesome, and I think more people need to experience this level of dialogue. And I just look forward to connecting with each of you individually, collectively, and pursuing whatever it is that God's purpose is in this collective of mind and matter.
Absolute. And tell
Peace
us
and much
what is your
love,
Instagram?
Justified.
All right, that's peace from Minister Server. That's Minister
Yes, sir,
Server,
man.
the one and only. All right.
Hey, Justified, man. Appreciate you, bro. We definitely, going to be rocking the shirts for the event that we're doing. For those that are in the Atlanta area, we're doing the first celebration of hip hop pops and grandpops. I will put the flyer in the chat on Father's Day from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. It's a free community family event. If you're in the Atlanta area, know some dope hip hop pops and grandpops and fathers and dads, invite them out because we're celebrating the brothers. Word.
All right, absolute. No doubt. Appreciate that. And is there anything else you wanted to say, Justified?
Man, like I said, just I'm here and available. Y'all can get at me.
That's what I was gonna say. What is your Instagram? Tell them where your Instagram is.
Everything is Fathers in Hip Hop. Instagram, Facebook.
.com.
Yeah, fathersinhiphop.com. I respond directly. I'm the only one that manages the pages, so I do real well at communicating and tapping back in when reached out to. I just want to see this platform, grow, and the things that Malik wanted to share with me. He knows me. I'm down. I get busy. I get distracted at times, but I'm always be there when I'm supposed to be. So, this was God's appointed day for me to really be available and to tap in, and I'm glad that I did. And like I said, I'm here for the long run. Whatever we could do to continue building each other up and helping each other's platforms get stronger, I'm all for it.
Definitely.
Thank you, Justified. Thank you so much.
Definitely talk.
Thank you. And the two guest speakers, man, y'all brought a lot of power knowledge and power information, and we definitely thank you for this.
All right. And Malik, Matthew, any final words?
Yeah, first of all, Justified, that complete, not compete. I'm taking that to the house, man.
Hey.
I mean, there are different ways for people to say it, but that's the most beautiful phrasing, and I'm honored by spreading it forward. One of the things that I wanted to say, I put it in the chat, but I also want to articulate it out loud. May finance not be what our children remember us for.
Right.
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 Nobody ever says, I wish I'd worked more. Right. The whole idea of financial literacy and understanding financial security is when I sit down and meet with people, the first thing I want to know are what are their life goals? What are their personal goals? What are their professional goals? Don't talk to me about money until you tell me you want to be able to travel, you want to be fit, you want to, find a significant other. All these different things are part of the emotional health. That's what matters. The job of a financial advisor, ideally, is to help remove barriers to that. So when I talk about financial literacy, I'm trying to help you set yourself up to pursue the goals that you're trying to pursue. I'm trying to help you set yourself up to benefit yourself in a personal way and to benefit your family in a personal way, so that you never have to worry that a decision that you make is not accessible to you because of finance. But that finance should not be the end all and be all. Too many fathers think that they are doing the job of a father if they provide. You're doing the job of a father if you hug your children, if you love your children, if you teach your children right from wrong. You're doing the job of a father if you teach your sons how to respect women, teach your daughters how to be respected and how to recognize somebody and move away from them when he's not doing right. All of those things are far more important. When we think of the job of a father, justified, as you said, a lot of times people don't think about all the other contributions until you find yourself needing to step into those roles. The most sacred job, I have the highest credential possible. I have a doctorate. Right? I've had prestigious positions and all that stuff. The most sacred job I've ever had is father. Job number one, protect the home front. Job number one, protect the home front. And with that,
True. Peace. I appreciate that wisdom.
And I sent you a friend request, Malik, on Facebook.
I already saw it. I already responded, man. Yeah, you in there. People, you can hit me up. I'm on Facebook as Malik Matthews, same name that's on the screen. On Twitter and on Instagram, it's just at Malik Matthew. My cell number I put in the chat as well, but you can take it down. It's area code 614-558-7551. Please shoot me a text. I left my professional email in case people are interested in that aspect, but definitely text me and we can build just one-on-one on a lot of these things. I'm looking to lift as we climb. So, please enable that. Peace.
Definitely appreciate that. And so Malik One, you still with us? Final words?
You better be.
I'm still here doing my acting as always, brothers. Well, here we are at another conclusion. And I, again, want to continue to thank everyone for joining us for a conversation about hip hop beyond entertainment. And today's main topic, of course, fathers in hip hop. So everyone has already said it. Everyone has already articulated. But to close this out, I just want everyone to think about putting some action behind our words and our efforts and try to find ways to participate in our culture and our community and think about what it means to be a hip hop citizen. But again, until next time, we thank you all wholeheartedly, and I'll leave it there until we meet again.
Great platform. Thanks for inviting me, Malik. Sorry it took so long for me to make one, but hey, I'm here now, so don't be bringing up old shit.
That's right.
It was all good. You was right on time. Like we did one for Father's Day. Perfect time to talk about fathers in hip hop, so it worked out perfectly. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you, brother Malik, for inviting. Thank you, everybody, for joining and staying. I hope that we all took something away from this today. Asa, please save the chat so that way we can have access to that to pull out notes. On the Chosen Zulu Facebook page, I'm going to share some of the videos that I've talked about from Dr. Joy DeGroy, who talks about the post-traumatic slave syndrome. So I'm going to share that on our Chosen Zulu Facebook page. Definitely take a look at that, because she's educating other PhDs and doctors and psychiatrists and psychologists on this topic in a very simple way that we can all understand and learn to appreciate how it's passed down generationally. So definitely check that out on Chosen Zulu on Facebook. Chosen Instagram is Chosen Zulu 2020. We share a lot of b-boy dancers from around the world on there, just to really expose our culture to how hip hop is spread all around. And there's some amazing dancers that are sending us their videos, so we're happy to share them. If you see any on there, shoot it to us in their message on Chosen Zulu 2020. We're happy to feature dancers from around the world. And again, we use hip hop as just a way to open up these kids to understanding these higher levels of our culture and our citizenry. ChosenZulu.com has plenty of hip hop knowledge, videos on each of the elements of the culture, videos from the pioneers themselves. We actually just shared one from DJ Red Alert telling his story firsthand and his experience. I shared it on Facebook. I'm also going to add it to our website because it's one of those things that deserve to be archived. So join me. If you'd like to learn more about the subscription opportunities, contact us either on Facebook or at the website. If you like what you do, we're seeing here, and you've been to our other meetings, you're welcome to make donations. Also at the bottom of the homepage on ChosenZulu.com, there's a tab just for donations that you can add there. And more importantly, we don't like to ask for handouts, we create products. So we have a bunch of these different medallions. We have one for each of 8 different indigenous island countries now with the flag of that country on there. We also have a bunch of hip hop designs. This t-shirt, this is what we have our members and staff members creating in order to raise funds as another source of income during these COVID times, especially, so that way they can provide for their families. So feel free to support, buy the medallions, buy the t-shirts. Happy to take a donation if you want to offer it. And we ain't done yet. We do this every 2 weeks on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm sure the next one's going to be great. We're working it out now, so stay tuned on Chosen Zulu Facebook for updates on the next meeting. Thank you all for your time and your contributions. Feel free to send any messages to Chosen Zulu Facebook, because this chat here is going to be done soon. So I'm going to set up a post for this meeting, thanking you all, and you'll be welcome to add your comments or your information or your links on there. God bless. Thank you for joining us. Peace, Chosen. Peace, family. Asa, if we got that outro video ready, get ready to pull it up. Contact each other, exchange each other. The brothers have given you their contact information. Reach out. The whole point of this is making everyone aware of these kind of great programs and individuals that are available, so we can connect to these resources available in our own communities instead of going to the big billion-dollar organizations that only do it such amount. Let's go to each other. Thank you. God bless. 2 weeks, Friday, 8 p.m. We'll see you then. Peace and blessings, family. One love.
Peace, Chosen.
Peace.
Chosen, peace.
I to the Z and a high power being blessed with a new rhyme scheme to come who is true.